Okay, so the next step is to put a little bit of olive oil in the breadcrumb mixture. This will probably be equivalent to about 1/4 of a cup or so. I'll show you what it's supposed to look like. It's supposed to be a little bit moist. It's not going to be dry, because then it's going to flavor the inside of the meat, so it's got to have a little bit of moistness to it. So I would think it's about between 1/3 and 1/4 of a cup, and it's empty. Time to get the refill. Between 1/3 and 1/4 of a cup, that is. Time to get out the heavy hitter. That should be about right. Like I said, it's probably between 1/4 and 1/3 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil. It doesn't have to be extra virgin olive oil. It could be regular. It doesn't have to be overly expensive. It could just be something good. Okay, you see how that looks? Oh, not me. Okay. So this is what it looks like, the crumbly mixture. And if you grabbed it together with your fingers, it's going to kind of hold. It's not going to crumble.
Sort of molded a little bit, like wet sand almost?
Yeah, like wet sand. Thank you, Nick, for that comparison. And now we have our pork roast. This is a boneless pork tenderloin. Well, this is actually a boneless pork loin. It's not just the tenderloin, it was the whole pork. And I buy the big one all at once, and then I cut it into 3, so I can use it 3 different times. I'm not too picky about getting all the fat off because it needs a little bit of fat to cook, otherwise it'll get too dry. It tends to be a pretty dry piece of meat. It's a white meat, so it's good for those of us watching our waist. So I'm going to turn it on its side, cut it down the middle.
Butterfly?
This is called butterfly, yep. I'm going to open it up. You don't want to cut all the way through. See, it's almost all the way, but not all the way through.
Just so you can get that filling in there.
Yeah, you don't want it to fall out the other side. And some salt in the middle.
Just a fairly nice coating over it.
Yeah, just a little shake here and there, some pepper. And we're going to take our filling. And before I do that, I have to get my string. Please don't follow me. And we're going to put all the filling inside like that. And this can be kind of messy, and it doesn't matter if you make too much of a mess, but try to keep it a little bit tidy.
That looks delicious.
Thank you. You're going to close it. It's like a sandwich. Try to keep the stuffing in as much as you can. And this is just, it doesn't have to be exact with the string, fancy chef knots and all that junk. You just want to get it tied up so that it doesn't fall.
Do you need a scissor?
No, I use a knife. So basically what you do is you just kind of come underneath it. You start off with a knot. Like that. And again, it's going to kind of fall out. You just can't sweat it because most of it's going to get in there. And then I'm going to cut the string. And ideally what you do is you kind of scoot it from the front. And it's falling out.
It's okay. If too much of it falls out, you just push it back in?
Yeah. You're just going to pull it. Like this. I'm desperate to try and keep all this good stuff from falling out too much, but just keep stuffing it. No, stuffing it back in. And I want it a little bit closer than that was. And then you come around around again.
You rope it in what, like 1-inch intervals?
It looks about like that.
Approximately.
Yep. And then you come around again. And you come under. And you're making this like a nice little...
It looks like the kind of rope they hang the meat from in delis.
Yeah, I guess so.
Looks similar.
Not cooperating. Stay in there. And these are one of those things, you know, you can't sweat it and be worried that everything's falling out. You're just gonna have to do your best. Okay. And then you could come around. Tie it at the end. Because after you cook it, you're going to cut this string off anyway.
Yeah, obviously. You don't want to eat string.
No, eating string is not very tasty. And I would say this was probably about 4 pounds, between 3 and 4 pounds. Okay, so he's all tied up. Looking like a little hog tied, so to speak, into the roasting pan. And there's a rack in there, and the rack was sprayed with Pam so it doesn't stick. And if you feel like there's a piece that you want to add an extra piece of string, it doesn't hurt to go back and cut another piece. Like I'm going to add a piece here because this little guy seems to be hanging off the edge. It's not about it looking pretty, it's just about holding it together while it cooks. Okay. Now let me wash my hands because I have to do something